Hello, guys, and welcome back to another episode of X-tricated. I am KB, and with me here is DDB.
DDB.
Oh, weirdo.
Whatever. Yes, I'm a weirdo. It's fine. And so what?
Today we have a very, very interesting episode, and we are going to talk about one of the miracles. The miracles that exist.
Miracle.
One of the miracles of the African continent, as it is right now. David, you want to start us up? Tell us what the topic is about.
Okay.
Tell us what this miraculous topic
we
is
don't
about.
really know what we're going to title this, but you will see the title anyway, right? We're going to talk about Rwanda today. Yeah. And how their history basically before the genocide and after the genocide, right? And see what lessons we can pick from, what patterns we can see, whether it's happened in Nigeria specifically, right? So yeah, let's start from how far can we go before the genocide?
How far back?
How far back?
Well, let's start from the pre-colonial times.
Okay.
Okay, so originally we have the Twa people, right?
Yeah.
Inhabiting the land of Rwanda back then. Then came the Hutus and the Tutsis, basically. So the Tutsis were essentially minorities, a minority clan. However,
They were
they
prosperous,
were prosperous.
and when I say they were oppressing the Hutus,
I wouldn't say well, it's like a 50-50 thing,
okay.
but then
But that was before,
their
was
land
before,
was militarized. Actually,
okay.
their land was kind of militarized. So
By
basically, it
first was the Germans, right?
no, not even that. Before the Germans even
Okay.
came, their land was militarized, and they protected themselves. Think of Wakanda.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's more like, okay, we know that we have the stuff, and
Yes.
we don't want other people to have the stuff, so we're
Yeah.
protecting ourselves
Yeah.
from anybody coming in. However, it didn't really work against the white people. So yes, that happened. And when the white people eventually came, they realized that, okay, these minority guys, these Tutsi guys, actually have the money, they have the wealth,
Yes.
basically. So let's align with them.
Yes.
So it was more like a hierarchy. The colonizers, then the Tutsis, then the Hutus.
But then,
Understand?
right? But then, this one pattern I can see that happen, right? Before amalgamation in Nigeria, right? When UK came in or England came into Nigeria, right? They created these two different sections in Nigeria, the north and the south.
Yes.
And then later they created the north, south, east, right? After amalgamation, before the independence, right? So what the Germans did then was to really create a huge difference between the Tutsis and the Hutus. I remember
It's more
during
like a
that
divide and conquer kind of thing.
exactly. I remember there were three ethnic groups, right? The Twas, which were forest based, right? They live in the forest, right? That's their habitat, right? Then we have the Hutus. So the Hutus are those that they rear cows. That's what they do normally, right? And then we have the Tutsis. The Tutsis are farmers, right? They farm, agriculture and all that. But then the Tutsis were more, and then what's it called? The Hutus were more, like they have high population, right?
Yes,
than
yes.
the Tutsis.
Yes.
You get, so they had more people, but they were still oppressed because the whites now came in, and then they kind of aligned with the Tutsis. And then that happened till I think the 1950s, if I'm not mistaken, right? During that period, Tutsis really oppressed the Hutus, but then something happened.
Would you say that the Tutsis oppressed? Let's put it this way: people are suffering in front of you, but then you are being favored instead of being oppressed like those people.
Yeah.
So to you, you feel like you have a special treatment, and you are different from those people. You basically, you don't necessarily have to directly oppress them, but then you already see them as beneath you because of the way they are being treated. You are special, they are not. You understand? So that's how they saw them. That's how the Tutsis saw the Hutus. Basically, they didn't directly oppress, but then the Hutus directly hated the Tutsis based on that.
Exactly.
You understand? So why are we not the same people? Are we not the same
Mhm.
people? Why
Yeah.
are you being favored and we are being oppressed?
Yeah. And by the
Understand?
way, this happened to, they had two colonizers, right?
Yes,
First the
Germans
Germans,
and the
then the
Belgians.
Belgians.
Mm.
By the way, Rwandans were not colonized by England. They were colonized by two. First Germany, then Belgium. So yeah, something happened. Yeah, let's continue.
Okay, so aside from they started they forced the Hutus to do all the labor basically.
Yeah.
Most times they're not either underpaying them or not even paying them at all.
Yeah.
All sorts of things, and they also introduced. You know that Rwanda is known for coffee. Rwanda is known for coffee.
Yeah.
They weren't always like that. They were not always like that. So it was the introduction of coffee by, I think it was the Belgians. They introduced coffee
Yeah.
to Rwanda, basically to like increase what they can actually bring out of the country.
Yeah.
You understand? Because that's what they were doing in most of these. That's what the colonial masters were doing in most of these African countries, coming to
yes.
produce things so they can trade back
Yes.
to other places. So they did that, and this is a new kind of crop that you're bringing to this land, and then it's another venture that these people are not yet used to. So you're going to force them to get used to it quickly, and it's not something that's going to be easy. So it's part of the thing that was breeding that mistrust and hatred from the Hutus to the Tutsis.
Yes.
Then after a while, I don't want to say what I want to say.
Say what you
Let me not say the white devil. The white devil has a way of, behaving. Anyway, after a while, they thought about it. They're like, it's like this thing that we're doing. One day there's going to be a revolution. Why not let us be on the side of those people that are going to have that revolution?
Why?
So,
Why? Because they have more hatred. They have more drive. Right, the Hutus had more drive and they had more population. Then,
yes.
Right. So,
Yes.
like to me, what the Belgians did was basically they said, okay, it's going to happen. The whatever genocide or war is going to happen between these two, but let's just exclude ourselves for now. Right, because we are not ready for that to happen yet. Because if that happens at that point, right, the Tutsis were going to really massacre the Hutus because they had more power then. You understand? They were in more position to do that, and then
they had the wealth for it.
Yes, exactly. And then the Belgians were going to be caught in crossfire, and as at then, that was when United Nations was earlier established. You understand? So certain things were not really in place, so they were kind of afraid, and they said, "Okay, fine." They kind of indirectly or directly, however you want to say it, they handed power to the Hutus.
Yes.
And then from then, things
directly give power to a bunch of people who have a serious hatred for another group. Nah, that is you calling for
exactly.
for massacre. And that's exactly what happened. So the Hutus started out killing the Tutsis and all. A lot of them had to run away.
Yeah. But they didn't really start killing outrightly anyway. Right, they started oppressing because we started having if you look at it, they started having radio stations that were just against Tutsis. They even had the 10 commandments, right, of the Hutus against the Tutsis, right? Or if you see the 10 commandments, oh my God, you had things that they are not to be trusted. They are vile people. It was just something else, right? It was created to against the Tutsis, to like incite that anger and hatred towards Tutsis, right? Yes. And then they make sure that because they had the power, like they were handed the power, they make sure that
when the independence came, they don't in power too.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. They handed power over to them, right?
No, they had the power before even the independence.
Yeah, before the independence. That's very true, right? So what happened now was at the end of the day was that the Hutus now started putting more of their people in government positions in the army, for example, military, like very important in military, because you see military camps where they are actually like propagating these 10 commandments I'm talking about, right? And then in April 1994, it happened.
Even before then, okay, before the 1994 happened,
Yes.
With the whole oppression, with the killings and whatnot,
Yeah.
Tutsis had to be running away from the country.
Yes, they did.
And a particular Tutsi ran with his family.
Mr.
One Mr. Paul Kagame.
Yeah.
As a child, he and his family ran away to neighboring Uganda.
Yeah.
So he grew up in Uganda. He basically joined the military over there.
Yeah.
He rose through the ranks.
He became a strong influencer in Uganda.
Yes. even partook in one of the coups that happened in Uganda. Helped overthrow their government and whatnot. So he eventually joined the Rwanda Patriotism Front.
Rwandan Patriotic Front.
Patriotic Front.
RPF.
Yeah. So the RPF was basically like a network of Tutsi people that are, let's call it that, in diaspora.
Yes.
First diaspora. Let me say exile.
Exile. Yeah.
They're basically planning how they're going to go and take back their country.
Yes.
That kind of thing. And he joined up. They basically formed their militant organization, and because that's what I would call it at that point.
It was a militant organization.
They decided to now invade Rwanda in 1994. At that point.
No, before 1994.
Before 1994,
actually,
sorry.
Before 1994.
So
they were creating unrest.
Yes.
And they were creating unrest. Then suddenly April 4th, right? If I'm not mistaken, April 4th, right? The airplane of the Rwandan president that's at then, right? He was a Hutu, by the way. Like, now was shot down and he died. Now, what do you think will happen? All the plans that has been
even before then they had already fought and they had
a civil war.
They had a peace treaty.
Yes,
they had a peace treaty. The civil war had been fought. They had a peace treaty, and that was that. So for something like that to happen while the RPF are in the country,
it means something.
It is the RPF that, and to be quite frank, I think it's the RPF that did it. But based
on my theories and our theories, we believe that we just based on the fact that who wins out of everything at the end of the day, for like in the next 27 years, I've been doing like 29 years, it's the person that we mentioned that is in power, right?
So they basically run it like that. So when they saw that the president had been assassinated,
the Hutus, the army started. What they did was that the next day, right, the army that was composed of majorly the Hutus started killing people at checkpoints. You understand? Hutus especially.
Even houses.
Yes. By the way, like during before the civil war and after the civil war, they used to create ID cards that stated you are Tutsi, they are Hutus.
That even existed right from the colonial time.
Yes, like from the colonial time. So it was after the independence.
Really?
When they had the power, Hutus had the power. So they wanted to really discriminate themselves from the Tutsis, so that they can actually create favor for their Hutu people against the Tutsis. You understand, right? So it's very easily to now say, okay, fine, if it happens that we need to kill every Tutsi,
very easy.
Yeah, it's very easy because of the ID card.
They already have documentation of where they come, like which houses are, occupied by Tutsis and whatnot. The army, it was actually very easy.
Yeah, it was very easy to actually kill the Tutsis.
Within
100 days,
800,000
over 800,000 people were killed. Right? It started from the army, but then now people also follow what's it called, the whole commandments that the commandments were there for more than 30 years.
It doesn't necessarily have to be only the army. Like once an ethnic, let me call it ethnic, even though they are basically the same people.
They're the same people. They're just different families.
Clans. Yeah, different clans.
Yeah, that's just it.
When an ethnic war basically breaks out, you don't really expect that to even be the military that will do everything.
Yes.
Because even the people will take part.
Yeah. The military started it, and then before you knew it, the grassroots, the ones in the rural area started killing. And oh my God, like the Tutsis that are left today, they are really, 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 they should be grateful, because during that period, damn man, like there was massacres, like a lot of Tutsis were killed in churches. You see like over 200 people burnt, over 200 people like killed with machetes.
There were mass burials.
Yeah, mass burials
by the
everywhere. Right, and by July 4th or 7th, I can't remember the exact date. That was when it stopped. Right, because of the Rwandan Patriotic Front. They got the hold of the army. They subdued the army.
They fought till they finally made it to the capital of Kigali.
Exactly, and that was how things started to calm down. And yeah, they gained power. After gaining power, they kind of created systems, and then it was a military rule from 1994 down to year 2000, and then this is when they elected a certain Paul Kagame as their president, and then right there, in that year, he created the Vision 2020, right?
The aim of that vision was to basically make Rwanda a middle-income country by the year 2020. Mind you, after all this war here and there, nothing was functioning in the country.
Yes,
we basically had nothing to boast about in the agricultural sector, nothing to boast about. There were no schools, basically. Healthcare systems were shattered, infrastructure shattered. Everything was in ruins. The country was in ruins. The country was the perfect description of hell on earth.
Yes, and a lot of people were not in homes. A lot of people were not in homes.
You have displaced people.
Yes, and guess what? The United Nations. See, there's a story of the United Nations that we did not say here. That I would really want. We're going to talk about United Nations one day in an episode, right? Because I still think these organizations like UN, World Bank, IMF, all of them, they're just corporates. Let me not just say it anyway, but I don't like the model at which they work, right? Though we all talk about United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which is good, right? But there are certain ways that they act that I don't really subscribe to. But let's move on. We're not talking about them.
Well, speaking of the United Nations, part of the reason why Rwanda was able to bounce back was due to the fact that I feel like it might have been due to guilt. Because
they abandoned Rwanda.
Actually abandoned during that entire process.
Exactly.
So when it seemed like everything had already calmed down, and I think Rwanda actually reached out for help.
Yes.
They were happy to help, basically. Out of that, so many countries, everywhere came, they put together, and about $700 million was given to in international aid was given to Rwanda.
Yeah.
And Rwandan government, led by Paul Kagame, basically focused on three things with this money. They revived. They improved security.
Improved security. Yeah, I think they improved security before they even got the what's it called.
Basically, it was the military was being used as police. You understand? Yeah. To ensure that law and order was in place. Yes. No matter what, there was no crime. No dissent, basically, because come on, you have a Tutsi in power. You want to make sure that anybody that is having any voice against the government or against you is going to be silenced, thrown into prison. And as at the time, there was a point, the population of Rwanda was 6 million, and they had 120,000 people in jail. You understand? That's a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's beside the point.
I guess so. Before you continue, right? There's something that you cannot do. There are two things that they made in their law, right? It's a criminal offense for you to deny that the genocide did not happen. It's also a criminal offense for you to revise it historically. So which means that you have to accept that this genocide happened, but you're not allowed to talk about it. Accept that this is your past, but don't talk about it. Move on. Don't dwell on it. Move on. Truly, and that's life. I actually like that.
Dwelling on it is only going to bring up more hatred.
Exactly, more hatred.
It really can apply to us because, to be quite frank, the kind of shaky peace treaty they had back then,
after the Civil War,
that later degenerated into more war, is basically the same kind of peace treaty that happened with us here in Nigeria.
Exactly.
It was shaky, and I don't know what is really holding it at this
So
point.
today, I keep asking this question: what is
Because
really holding Nigeria right
truly,
now? Because see, forget it's not unity.
the people have not forgotten.
Yeah.
Yes, it happened. We're not saying that it didn't happen, but then if you've done a treaty, you should try to let it go. You understand? The people are not forgetting. Both sides are not forgetting. That's the thing. Both on the Hausa side and on the Igbo side, nobody is forgetting. Nobody's choosing to forget anything. You understand? And that is what is still bringing back this hatred, this intertribal hatred between these two foremost ethnic groups of Nigeria.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's beside the point. I'm not talking about Nigeria. So aside from security, they also focus on healthcare and they focus on education. They were able to rebuild schools. Schools opened up and the children were able to go back to schools. Education was prioritized for the children. Healthcare was also prioritized because after a genocide, after a long period of war, what can you expect? Diseases upon diseases. Because it's a given. Like once you have war, any place that is war torn, what follows is disease. Because you cannot be in a situation where you are let's say you are in the city and war breaks out, you know survival mode, you start running.
I know that they
you go into the wild.
At a point they had the highest number of AIDS, right?
Oh yeah.
Because during the during the genocide, right, there was there was release of a lot of prisoners by the army, right, that were like with AIDS, right, and they were released to rape to see women.
Wow.
You understand? So there were cases of over 250,000.
That's even a man-made factor.
Yes, you understand?
I'm not before we even start talking about the natural factors, like people going into the wild and mixing with diseased animals.
Exactly, and don't forget there were refugees. There were people that did not have homes. You understand? So as you said, like the healthcare system, the housing system, they also made sure that a lot of people had houses. They made sure that they diverted funds to the educational system and to the housing system just to create houses for people and also create schools, build schools, and to make sure that every single primary school from primary school up to higher education, they make sure that there was laptops for primary school students, you understand, and the education became very, very,
I think that's even a more recent development.
Yes, a recent development, right?
Because when you look at it, those things didn't really come until Rwanda became one of the I think the second.
It was in the 2010s.
The second when it comes to
internet
connectivity in Africa, second ranked in Africa.
Yeah.
When it comes to internet connectivity.
There's a reason why they call it the next Singapore.
Yeah.
The Singapore of Africa.
So basically, once they had focused on these three things, it opened up the floodgates.
For foreign direct investment.
Yeah, not just for foreign direct investment, but for policies that would basically ensure that they would prosper. And it is those things that essentially basically dragged.
Educating your your citizens in a way that is proper. Make sure that, as you said, the policies are going to be accepted.
Yes. You see that Rwanda is one of the cleanest countries in Africa today.
And they accept it. They actually accept it. It's more like they embody it.
Yes.
As Rwanda, they actually embody these policies that are being created, and they love Paul Kagame, despite the fact that most of them are actually Hutus. You understand? They actually love Paul Kagame. Some people will tell you that they don't, but they do. But they really do.
Well,
just imagine.
We are not Rwanda, so we cannot tell you that one.
That's
but
true. Very true.
As far as we know. But that's how we'll get to that.
But anyway. But let's even put it this way, right? If they don't like him, you understand? Though someone has said on the internet, I've seen someone say claims that there are certain policies that does not allow him, that allows him to extend his period. Understand? Nobody actually stand up to challenge him. Yeah, that's that.
I do not think that is correct, because in their constitution, when he came into power, I feel like those things might have been covered. I don't know what it is, but then the mainstay was that Rwanda is not a democracy. You understand?
You see?
It was a totalitarian government.
Uh-huh.
You understand?
But then
So it doesn't necessarily mean
it was not run.
that is what does that mean? A one-party state. You understand?
Exactly.
If you decide to form any party, you are basically going to enter jail.
You see?
You understand? So it's not like
So which means that's what I'm saying. Nobody in his party has challenged him at the end of the day.
how would anybody in his party challenge him?
That's why I say they love him.
The party have their
That's why I say they love him.
common goals, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
It's
So
either fall in line or get out.
Exactly.
That kind of thing.
So it's more like at the end of the day, right? The people that like everybody in Rwanda right now is actually under one party.
Yes.
So if you want, you can challenge the president inside that same party, right? But just make sure that whoever you are, you continue with the vision.
Yes.
That's basically
that's the thing.
So till now, nobody has really challenged him. They'll actually like it that way. Whether they like it or not, they still like it.
True. So based on that, based on all these developments, foreign direct investment is coming in, especially for the fact that they reduce taxes, they basically reduce bills on exportation and all those things. So it's attracting these guys to come in. Foreign direct investment, ease of doing business is at an all-time high.
All-time high.
I think they are also the highest ranked or the second highest ranked when it comes to ease of doing business in Africa.
In Africa, yes. Their human development index has increased to over 80%.
It has increased.
To like from before the genocide it was I think 40%, but now it's like over 80%, over 70-something%.
And they've invested a lot in tourism. You understand?
Yeah.
I think we were talking off air. We were talking about basically their natural reserves.
Yeah.
And
they have active volcanoes, right? So what they did with that was to make sure that these volcanoes, there are 5 active volcanoes. You understand? So they make sure that they have volcano parks. Yeah, volcano parks.
And then also made their their animal kingdom what's seen basically. Exactly. Everybody's traveling from around the world.
And then you cannot kill animals in Rwanda.
To do that, to come there and see the animals.
You cannot kill animals in Rwanda.
And how would this have been possible?
It's a criminal offense.
Yes, how would tourists have even come if they didn't even develop the airports?
Exactly, yeah.
Rwanda is a landlocked country.
Yeah.
No seaport,
actually.
So the only way in and out is either by road or by air.
Airport.
And there's no way people from say America will come to Rwanda without air. And without the air. And also trade, cargo, everything. You have to come. Yeah. So they also have cargo airports.
It used to come from what's it called? From Dar es Salaam, from Tanzania, basically, right? So at the end of the day, now they have 3 international airports, right? And they're actually situated at the one in Kigali, one in the east, and then one at the west, like far west. So and these are like the second one, apart from the Kigali, because Kigali is now becoming it's getting a lot of visitors. So there's the second one in the eastern Rwanda now that has that is kind of helping the one in Kigali, right, to service more and it's actually going to be the biggest international airport when it's done, because it's going to be bigger than Kigali's. Then the other one is going to be basically for exportation and importation, right? That's the one at western, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So for over 20 years now, that means they've experienced serious economic growth.
And there's one thing that they've been doing. I think we Arsenal fans, we see Visit Rwanda on the sleeves of Arsenal, right?
Yes.
And that's one part of inviting people for tourism, right? Okay. And Visit Rwanda is not just on Arsenal sleeves; they are all over the world.
Yes.
Right, in other sports industries, other sports franchises and all that, right? So what he does, Paul Kagame is an Arsenal fan. That's basically the reason why he went to Arsenal. But that was wise anyway. That was really wise, because because just imagine you have the fan base of Arsenal worldwide is huge.
I think as at is it 2019 or thereabouts, the amount of money they made from tourists was about 650 million.
You see?
$650 million or thereabouts.
You see?
Compared to 2000, I think, or thereabouts.
And
Or
guess what?
2008, that was 27 million. So you can see the very big growth.
Yeah.
So a lot of their money has come from there, and a lot of their money has also come from coffee. That same coffee, from back then.
They
are still one of Africa's largest
and
producers.
guess what? They are entering the energy sector.
Yes,
they are entering the energy sector, and they are building this what's it called, Kigali Innovation City that it's being built as well. So
but do you know, we talked about the ease of doing business. Talk about ease of doing business basically has to do a lot with, like, how easy is it for you to start your business?
Yes.
How easy it is for you to do trade?
Yeah.
Things like taxes, all this type of stuff. How those things impact.
You know that Rwanda
your
is
business.
is actually very easy, right? You remember
Yes,
that
yes,
index?
yes,
It's very, very easy.
Very, very easy.
Yeah, very
so
easy.
basically, not just for outsiders, but for also the private sector within the country. However, there are also like two companies that the government actually owns that they use as, I've heard somebody describe them as icebreakers.
Okay.
To get into places where maybe some private sectors are not yet confident to go into. So basically they funnel government funds towards projects under those company names. Like I think one of them is called Crystal Ventures Limited.
Okay.
Then there's another one called Horizon. Horizon is actually owned by the Ministry of Defense.
Okay.
Then Crystal, so they've invested in different things.
What kind of project do they do?
The Horizon is the one that is more for logistics and construction.
Okay.
While Crystal has a lot to do with milk processing, fancy coffee shops, and some other businesses. And I mean, for a country like Rwanda where you have come on.
That's actually good.
That's a very, very interesting place to invest in, and also tourism too. They invest in tourism from there.
Yeah.
So normally these are things that they're going to, if people are scared to enter, once they see that the government has entered this place,
they will enter
and they want to enter it and try to bring their own.
Yeah.
But some people have problems with that. You know that when the government is basically like funding a company that is doing some certain things, it can be very, very tricky because sometimes government don't want to admit that they failed in something. So if something is making a loss, there might be the tendency to want to use more money to like cover it up, just like pad the stats, you understand, and say that this is this. But and you know that despite this whole growth, that Uganda, sorry, why did I keep saying it was you that was in Uganda, that Rwanda has experienced over time. There are some people that still feel like the government is start padding, that they feel like all this is just like they are just saying it's just for popularity and whatnot. But the truth remains
about start padding, right? Our start padding. See, forget it. Like the eye test will give you.
Yes,
that, right?
yes.
So till you visit there and
the
you
eye
see
test,
certain things, right?
The eye test will tell you,
because that's what they keep accusing. Economists keep accusing China of start padding.
Yes,
basically, right? So
I know where I'm driving. I know I'm driving at this. The eye test they are talking about. There are actually two ways to actually look at it. You can look at the infrastructure. You can look at infrastructure, and you can look at the people. Yes, the people's lives have improved drastically, but then still a large part of the people are still like producing what they eat. You understand? So that is good, but then it's not good enough when it comes to like when you're talking about prosperity, basically that vision of being a middle income country and all those type of things. That's what will make some people want to say that. But I still disagree because it still takes time, especially considering where they're coming from. You understand? It will take a very long time. At least 30 years. You understand? For that to happen, for that goal to be achieved. So that 2020 was a little bit ambitious, but you know that it's good to have goals because even if you fall short, you still have achieved something. Which they have already.
Exactly.
You understand?
You know there are some companies like we talked about Vision 2030, right, for Saudi Arabia. most of the things that, like, majority of the things that we're in 2023 now, right? Most of the things will not actually happen till after 2030.
Yes.
You understand? But it's good to have goals.
Yes.
What did what's it called? Elon Musk say about electric cars, fully electric cars? He said by 2020 it's going to happen. But what did he say in 2020 when he was asked? He was asked and he said, "Well, I was wrong." Simple. I was wrong. But at the end of the day, what he said actually sparked up people to actually, like, companies to actually start creating cars. You understand? What he said actually drove up the interest of lithium batteries. You understand? Apart from what he said, there are other reasons for lithium batteries to, like, the demand to increase and all that. You understand? But at the end of the day, right, when you have goals, it actually works. It pushes you to do something, but you achieve something. You get to a particular stage of that particular project, despite the fact that you've not achieved, like, the full goal. Blah blah blah.
Yes.
Anyway, so Rwanda.
So what has Rwanda taught us now? How do you build a country from scratch?
That's just what they did.
So yes.
How to build a country from scratch.
I think
that's it.
I think that luck was on their side a little bit. Luck was on their side.
They did, but timing was not even. It's not. I won't say time.
Is it timing or luck?
Timing.
Okay.
Timing.
I mean, I feel like timing is an element of luck, but however, they focus on those three things that we initially mentioned. Those are very, very key to any country that is trying to.
And they actually really planned it well because they did it in stages.
Yes.
You understand? And they are extremely patient. They're not pushing themselves way beyond what they can actually do, right? Because right now they're getting somewhere, but they don't want to push themselves. They want to do it gradually. And guess what? They are the only African country that deal with China that have sense. No, like that's it. See, we're going to talk about a lot of things concerning China later on, right? But to me, they're the only African country that deals with China and have sense. But with that, I think that's the end of this episode.
So yes. So we've learned something. We've learned something from Rwanda. We've learned that to start a country from scratch, you have to focus on health. You have to focus on education. You have to focus on security.
No, it's a lie.
You have to focus on those three things.
It's a lie.
You have to focus on those three things before you can ever start anything.
It's a lie.
Even in the case of Singapore, in the case of the Asian tigers and all those people, you still had them focusing on those exact same things. Starting a country from scratch.
No, I no go agree. I no go agree. We'll talk about this thing clean. Like, we're going to talk about.
I don't know why he's disagreeing with me right now.
I'll give my point on the episode.
The facts are there.
The facts are not there.
The facts are
they
there.
are just hearsay.
The facts are not. They are not hearsay, please.
Anyway.
Because we've seen it happen. We've seen the miracle happen. So, do you think it can be replicated in another country? That is the question. So, thank you for listening.
With that, we've left you with a $1 million question. Can it be replicated?
Especially in a country like Nigeria. I mean, Nigeria is not starting from scratch, but
my answer is
the
only thing that can happen is when a revolution happens, and we don't want a revolution to happen.
Oh, we don't want a revolution to happen.
Exactly. But that's the only way that thing can happen.
And I also want to mention one thing about Rwanda. I feel like the true test about Rwanda is going to come after Kagame has left.
Yes.
Whether it's by death or whether he says, "Oh, I'm tired, let me retire. Let another person take over."
Yeah.
You understand? Because we don't know if he's the kind of person that wants to stay till death or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yes.
That's a wrap. Ciao. Follow us on our Instagram handles and engage with us. Have a good week.